I'm sorry, I can't speak any Hebrew. I can say shalom. So that means hello, I've been told. As Or was saying, it's pretty interesting because I've sat where you guys are watching Google present to me, so I'm now on the other side of the stage, so it's quite interesting. So again, I'm sorry, I'm not speaking Hebrew. If you don't understand what I say, please put your hands up. I'll explain it again, so please stop me as I go along. And I just wanted to talk very quickly about what Creative Lab is. And with this kind of small team, and Richard, who's on next, is also part of Creative Lab, and he's based out in New York, I'm based in London. We have another office in San Francisco. And our job is to try and rethink marketing and communications for Google. Google is our only client. And we've got two remits. One is to try and invent the future, and the other thing is remind the world what it is they love about Google. I mean, I guess we all remember that really magic feeling. Do you remember when you went onto Google Earth and you found your house there, and you thought, that's a really magic feeling? You know, how do you get that magic feeling back into technology? And so that's kind of what our remit is. And with this crazy bunch of idiots, you know, we are writers, designers, filmmakers, hackers, coders, strategists, and we work collaboratively with partners. We try and work, and some of the projects I'm going to take you through, which we've worked on, we couldn't have done without the help of our partners. And we have a very, very simple principle. Know the user, know the magic, connect the two. It's very easy with Google being a tech-led company to come up with very technological solutions which people don't care about. So our job is to try and understand what is it that people care about, try and connect the two. And that leads me to the topic of this conversation, how creative technology is your secret asset. And we're all, you know, communications professionals here, and often the best place to start is the human insight. But you know what's quite interesting? If you start with an interesting technology, sometimes it's possible to start with an interesting technology first and then work out how do you make that relevant and compelling for people? What is the role of creative technology when coming up with communications? And so Confucius, he's not the world's most famous web marketer, but he did say this: I hear, I forget, I see and I understand, I remember, I do and I understand. So that's quite interesting. If you get people to do stuff, you know, they get to like your brand more. I guess we all work on brands where a lot of people have heard of the brands that you work on, don't necessarily like them. However, if you get them to engage and participate and spend time with your brand, maybe, just maybe, they'll start liking them. And that kind of brings us to what we're all doing at the moment. What we're doing at the moment is creating communications to raise awareness of our brand. You know, and that's right for many reasons. And is there a new paradigm? Is there something else different we can do? What if we create a platform which allowed people, our consumers, to engage with our brand and spend time and participate with our brand? I don't know what it's like in Israel, but certainly in places like the US and the UK, the average consumer is subjected to 3,000 commercial messages a day, 3,000 commercial messages a day. How do you fight for getting heard in all of that? One of the ways you can try and do that is try and earn the permission to be in people's lives by doing things which a lot of my colleagues before have said, something which is useful, something which is interesting to them. And that creates a new role for communications. Why don't you, if you create a platform, maybe the communications can drive to this platform that you're creating. And the interesting bit is that's the role for creative technology. How can we use technology to create these platforms? Simply put, how can we use technology in a creative way to get people to engage with your brand in a way that makes you like your brand better? And I just wanted to prove that, you know, we're not these group of hippies who sit around playing guitars. We actually try and solve very, very relevant business problems for Google. So everything I'm going to show to you is actually tackling a very, very relevant business problem for Google on the core product. And this is the first business problem. Each one leads to, hopefully, quite an interesting creative solution. So everyone with me so far, everyone can understand? I'm from the north of England. I've got a very, very strange accent. So if you don't understand me, I understand. So in 2008, we launched the Chrome browser, and this was the very modest Chrome blog that launched the Chrome browser. And since the invention of the browser, people had started doing quite interesting things, such as uploading video, playing games, chatting, things that the browser wasn't actually equipped for. So when the Chrome browser was launched, it was launched with the intention of redefining what a browser experience was to be safer, more secure, more stable, and faster, and also put out there as a challenge for other browser developers to join in with Google and help join in the development of browsers to be adaptable to modern internet needs. And since then, the Chrome browser's done all right. Globally, it's there or thereabouts, going number 1 and number 2. But there's still work to be done. We want to continue the momentum of the Chrome browser and also overcome the inertia. It's something that we've talked about in the past. You have to download another browser, and some people, you just can't be bothered to do that. The browser you've got's quite good for everything that you need. So how do we overcome the inertia that people have with downloading a browser? And if you haven't been on the site evolutionoftheweb.com, it's pretty amazing. It just tells you all the different technologies that have emerged. But if you look at the little Chrome bar there, since the introduction of the Chrome browser, the number of technologies on the web have exploded purely because so many developers have created all these amazing technologies. And it's become the browser has become more than just a simple window to information. I'm sure you all remember that really, really horrible phrase, information superhighway. God, that sounds really old now. But it's more than that. You can do so much more. You can communicate with others in real time, sync content across multiple devices, and even connect to physical objects, which the guys just before, I didn't understand any of that, but I thought the ideas were brilliant. What the guys just presented before, you can connect to physical objects. And the amazing thing is, this is all through a URL, straight from the web. No downloading of any software. That's pretty impressive. And if we could convince users of the evolution of web technologies, maybe we'd get them to continue using it. Maybe we could get them to overcome this inertia and download it. But how do we bring this magic to life to mainstream audiences? For the geeks, all these really strange sounding terms like HTML5, WebGL, they sound really fascinating. But to normal people, no one cares about it. So what could we do to make it resonate with a more mainstream audience? And we thought, what if we made these technologies physical somehow? What if we released them from behind the computer screen? And we thought, inspired by Eric Schmidt, who was speaking at a lecture before, he was talking about the fact that IT education in schools across England and the Western world had become reduced to learning about how word processing packages work, learning about how PowerPoint works. IT education needed to go back to understanding computer science. So we wondered, what if we could educate the world about the magic of the web by doing this, and therefore show Chrome's role within this. And we thought maybe, just maybe, we could inspire the next generation of computer scientists. So we decided to create a series of what we call Chrome experiments, physical Chrome experiments, as an exhibition, which demonstrate how these technologies became magic. And rather than talking about all these stupid tech terms like CSS3 and Java, etc., we would bring them to life through these exhibitions. And we did it with the Science Museum. I don't know if you guys have heard of the Science Museum. Certainly within the UK, it's one of the most foremost museums in the world dedicated to teaching people about science. And so we also thought, what if we allowed people from across the world to access these science experiments as well? And that led us to create something called WebLab. I don't know if have any of you guys heard of WebLab? Heard of it? Yeah. So I'll just, for those of you who haven't, it's on at the Science Museum at the moment, but it's also at chromeweblab.com as well. And it's quite interesting. It's on for another 2 more months. But this is what the space looks like. I've got a video which will bring this to life in a better way. But this is the space of WebLab. It's actually a physical museum. And everything you see within this space is interactive on the web as well. So this was one of the first Chrome physical experiment. This is Sketchbot. So every experiment you're going to see is linked back to an IT subject, which kids can learn about and understand about the power of the web. So what Sketchbot does is it takes a photograph of you, and then one of these robots paints your picture in sand. And what that demonstrates is the power of machine language translation, how you take light images and it goes through all these processes and it then turns them into physical movements. But if you're not interested in that, it's still quite cool to watch your portrait being drawn in sand. And this is Universal Orchestra. And what you can do here is you can play on these magical instruments, which are very abstracted, not real instruments, to create music with people playing it on another part of the world online. And each instrument is paired so a museum visitor can play it with someone who's playing with it online. And the whole background of them is created by these beautiful music that's being played on the Universal Orchestra. This is Data Tracer, another experiment, which is a giant map which allows you to see, when you search for something, exactly where in the world your search has come from. How your server routes all the different information packages to show that if you're looking for an image, how it goes via different parts of the world to get to you within milliseconds. And again, that's showing the physical infrastructure of the web. And this is Teleporter, and Teleporter allows you to be immersed into a real world, but miles away in different parts of the world, 360-degree live streaming real-time content. So they're in 3 places. There's one in a shark tank in Johannesburg where you can stick your head in and have a look at all these sharks floating past you. There's another one set within a 24-hour bakery, and also one in Miniature World in Hamburg. And we did try and speak to the guys at NASA because we wanted to have one of these cameras at Mission Control in NASA. And we've all seen Apollo 13, right? You think it's full of all these guys doing high-five moments, but you looked at it, it's really boring. It's all these people sat at their computers just looking at graphs. So we thought, NASA sounds cool, but it's probably not as cool as a 24-hour bakery, which sounds boring, but was actually quite interesting with all the people moving. And so what you could do is when you stick your head in, you can take various pictures of what you're seeing within these teleporters. And the theme that's teaching there is telepresence as well. And everyone who goes into WebLab gets one of these little tags, and each tag has a unique avatar, this unique set of 3 shapes, which is your identity. And it stores everything that you do, whether it's your sand portrait, the music you've created, the photographs you've taken from the 360 teleporter. And there's this amazing wall here. Now, if you can imagine, each one of those little symbols is someone who's either accessing WebLab online or actually in the museum itself. And what LabTag Connector does is look at commonalities between people. So for example, if lots of people on Universal Orchestra, this little robotic arm writer will draw an orchestra icon, and all the avatars of the people online or in the museum who are playing on it will appear together. Or for example, if there's lots of people in Australia accessing WebLab at the same time, it will draw a map of Australia as well, and all those avatars will get there, will aggregate there to show you the LabTag Connector and Explorer. And this is really gratuitous. I went there with my son last Friday. There he is there, watching these sketch being drawn, and there he is in a shark tank in Johannesburg. And that was last Friday when I just took him. It was his day off from school. And everything I've shown you is accessible online. Everything you can do in the physical museum, you can do actually on weblab.com as well. Play instruments, draw your portraits in sand. And so the website's pretty cool as well.
Since its launch in 2008, the Chrome browser has evolved and continues to push the potential of what you can do on the web. This means that it's no longer just a simple window to information. Today, the advanced features in Chrome allow us to do so much more, like play with people across the world, communicate with friends far away, and connect us to all sorts of physical devices. We wanted to let people know about these features so that we could inspire new users onto Chrome. What if we take these everyday invisible technologies and make them tangible? In collaboration with the London Science Museum, who are committed to educating people about the science that shapes our lives, we did just that, allowing people to get their hands on these features, and in doing so, learn how the web works, whilst experiencing the power of Chrome. Together, we created WebLab, a first-of-its-kind global exhibition featuring 5 interactive physical experiments made accessible to the world online, allowing anyone, anywhere in the world, to access WebLab through a browser. The first of the 5 Chrome experiments is Universal Orchestra, where visitors make live music with people from across the world and experience how the web enables real-time collaboration. In Teleporter, visitors are instantly transported thousands of miles away through a series of 360-degree live streams, from an underwater shark tank in South Africa to a miniature airport in Germany. In Sketchbots, visitors can have their portrait drawn in the sand by a robot, demonstrating how the web translates information. In Data Tracer, visitors watch the epic journey that images take across the web by tracing routes through the internet's vast network of servers to show where information lives. On entering the lab, both online and museum visitors receive a uniquely generated lab tag, a visual representation of themselves within WebLab, and a place to save everything they create. LabTag Explorer allows visitors to see how information on the web is organized by exploring WebLab's global community and browsing visitors' creations, including their own. In July 2012, we launched WebLab in beta, a world first for a physical exhibition. Thanks to the users' feedback, we improved the experiments and made WebLab better. During the 3-month testing phase, WebLab was experienced by 2.5 million online visitors from over...
Yeah, I mean, I'll just stop it there. I mean, we're up to about 6 million now, and I think we've had visitors from every country in the world. Yes, even North Korea, apparently. So so that was WebLab. So that's one of the things we created to solve a very important business problem. Here was another interesting business problem that we came with as well. Word of mouth and recommendation from someone you trust is a powerful reason to change your default browser. It was certainly true with me 10 years ago. One of my early adopter friends said, you should get onto Firefox, it's really cool. So I got onto Firefox, but I was a geek, so that kind of worked for me. However, we worked out, how can we get people to recommend Chrome browser to their friends? This was the brief that we got in. And we took a look at the brief and thought, that's an awful brief. Because you know what? The problem is browsers are like electricity. No one really cares about browser. No one really thinks about a browser. You don't lie awake at night thinking, no, I really wish I had a better browser experience because this browser's not really doing well. You don't think about it, You're probably happy with the browser that you've got, and there's so much effort involved in trying to download a new one. You know what? I'm just going to stick with the one I've got because it's quite good. So we thought, all right, that's not how real people think. Let's reframe the problem radically. Why don't we do this? What if we create an awesome experience, which is best experienced through the Chrome browser? And what if that experience got even more awesome if you invited your friends into it? So we thought, is there a unique Chrome property we could use as a tech starting point, which allowed us to do that? And we thought, well, real-time collaboration is quite interesting. And we thought, well, what is there a good activity there which is, based on real-time collaboration, but still enjoyable by yourself if your friends are not involved? And we thought, of course there is. Everyone likes playing music. You can play a musical instrument by yourself, or when you invite more of your friends into it, it becomes better. You start making music together. And so that gave rise to the solution to our friend get friend brief was this, Jam with Chrome, an online platform which allows you to play music with your friends wherever they are in the world. And I've got a few key screens from this, and we created, if you go with jamwithchrome.com, it's still up there, and it's pretty interesting. So we've got 19 instruments, whether it's drums, whether it's strings, whether it's a steel string guitar, bass guitars, different types of guitars. You can play in easy mode or in pro mode as well. And if you send this little handy URL to your friend, you can get 3 of your friends to jam with you as well from wherever they are in the world. And we use this guy, Keyboard Cat, to advertise Jam with Chrome. So when Keyboard Cat came back, what if he brought 3 of his friends in to jam with him? So that was Jam with Chrome. If you get a chance to play on it, please play. It's a lot of fun, and people have started doing some really interesting things with it. I do have a video, but I've kind of said what's already in the video. The next thing I'm just going to talk about is business problem number 3. And I'm sure a lot of you will have seen a graph like this, a similar graph maybe. Very soon, there'll be more people using mobiles than desktops. And we've got a pretty interesting, successful browser. There's a high usage of Chrome browser on a desktop, but it's not as high in terms of mobile. So there's quite an easy opportunity here. How do we get those existing Chrome users who are already using it on a desktop to use it on their mobile? How do we get them to download, or if they've already got it, how do we activate their usage of Chrome on a mobile as well? And we thought, again, looking at an interesting technology start point, what interesting technology is there that we could use to talk about this? And there's a really strong, powerful one, which is the fact that because Chrome is everywhere in the cloud, it can sync your desktop to your mobile device, whether that's a tablet or a phone. And so we thought, what if we create a fun experience which synced a mobile device to your desktop? What kind of situations are there? And we thought, possibly the best thing you could do is this. What if we did this? What if we turned the mobile device into a game controller for your desktop? And so we created Super Sync Sports. So a set of 3 games where you can run or swim or cycle, where you use your mobile device. So you do these actions on your mobile phone or your tablet, and it runs on the screen. And you can do that with up to 3 of your friends. And here is the video we did to launch it.
Get ready to race! Now sing! Run! Cycle!
Okay, I'm going to do something really dangerous now. I'm going to try and do a live demo. Who wants to play? Who's got Chrome on their mobile? So Eitan, you haven't got it. Eitan worked on it. He hasn't got it, unfortunately. Who's got Chrome on there? Right, okay, so what we're going to have this is very risky. This is never been, well, actually, it's been done a few times, but it's always crashed. So let's try this. So this is Super Sync Sports. Right, so we're going to do the running game. All right, multiplayer. All right, so the first 4 players to type this URL into their Chrome browser. If you could all do that. And then when you get on there, you should be prompted for a code. Great, we've got one. Who's player yellow? Who's player yellow? Great, okay. And one more. Great, we've got 4 players. Can we see the 4 players? Who are the 4 players? Great, okay, right. Can you then choose your characters? Right, everyone's confirmed. Everyone please confirm. All right, the tension is unbearable. Okay, this is going to be a really vicious race. So remember, it's a running game. It's using your phone with your fingers in a running motion. Right. I don't know about you, I'm very nervous. Right, here we go. Get ready, contestants. Go! Look! Look at that! The headphone man's going. Eyeball, go on Eyeball. Eyeball's catching up. Water drop. And it's the headscarf man. Oh, eyeballs catching up. 2. Who's that guy? There you go.